Hello, hello. Welcome back to Journal Entries. This episode is going to be juicy, if you can tell by the title already. I just had this realization on the plane to Napa that I went to a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago now. But this realization made me question so many decisions that I've made the past 12 years, 12 and a half years. And I thought these were all well intentioned, and they were. I thought these were the quote unquote right thing to do, but I realized that it had the opposite effect on me. If you are constantly exhausted despite doing everything right or feeling like you're trying to do all of the right things, either for other people or even for yourself, like self care stuff, and you're tired of being tired, this episode is for you and it will help you. Also, stay tuned in until the end because I'm going to share how this realization led to me creating something that could and will change your entire summer and just your day-to-day life and just feel better. Okay, so for my realization and Napa story, I was traveling to Napa with my sisters on a sisters trip, and while I was boarding the plane, I realized how this was the first trip, maybe ever in my adult years, that I was going to take pictures only for me. I was just kind of going through the upcoming trip and all of the places we were going to be visiting. And I realized that the photos I was going to be taking, I had no intention of posting them anywhere on social media, that I had no desire to share in my stories on Instagram or anything. And I even sent a message to my clients inside my Peace and Confidence Collective with some coaching that inspired me to reflect even more on this. And I told them that I've traveled a lot. The past 12 years, especially being part of Beachbody, I've traveled to like over 20 different states and countries. And with every trip, it was almost felt like a requirement to take pictures and to post them on social media. That whole intention was to kind of bring everybody along with me. And I was live in my stories, especially Instagram stories and Facebook stories. I was actively posting, documenting what I was doing, not to the minute, but it was pretty much to the minute. I realized that since I'm not really on social media right now, definitely not as active as before, any of these photos are purely for me. And I don't know, there was just no requirement behind it. And it was just so freeing in that nothing was going to be live streamed. It just felt like this trip was for me. It was so cool. And it just led to the question for my clients and now for you. Have you ever been living for somebody else, taking pictures for somebody else? Have you ever been making decisions for somebody else? By the way, this realization is exactly why I created my Energized Summer Challenge. And it starts July 7th. This 4-week challenge is where we're reclaiming our energy so that we can finally stop running on empty and start having the stamina to fully enjoy our kids, enjoy what we do for work, and enjoy time to ourselves without guilt. Like be present and fully show up and enjoy it. The deadline to enroll is July 4th. So click the link in the show notes ASAP if this sounds up your alley. There's only 8 spots left out of 12 total. There's already 4 amazing women in there. And again, enrollment closes Friday, but more on all of that, all of the details will be shared at the end of this episode. First, I want to share different examples of this so that you can spot this in your own life. So, have you ever been making decisions or managing other people's emotions at work? What this might look like for you, as it did for me, is managing your team's emotions. For me, it was on these company trips. I was trying to make sure everybody felt included. Maybe for you, you're trying to do the same, but in team meetings, or making sure certain projects are given to certain people so that certain people feel a certain sort of way. What this does is exhausts you mentally and emotionally, maybe even physically, and it pulls you out of the present moment. I think the deeper layer here when I was journaling is especially for me with my posting on social media, it's the desire to be followed by more people. And the root of that, of the dopamine hit of being followed and getting likes and follows and comments, is connection. And I think even the same thing in the office. If you're doing certain actions in the office, it's because you want your employees to like you. You want your coworkers to like you and to get along. But all of this is exhausting and for such little reward. There is no weight behind a like on social media. And there's very little weight behind being the person in the office to make sure everybody gets along. Maybe you're doing this in motherhood, like myself, raising my hand over here. I still deal with this, but even more so in the past when my son was younger. But I constantly was making decisions to keep my son happy and healthy. But it was so depleting because it wasn't really just happy and healthy. I was constantly anticipating his needs to avoid meltdowns, making sure there was water nearby, like little things. I was always trying to think ahead to avoid those meltdowns. Oh my gosh, like the food on his plate. He never wants to eat what I make him. So I'm always like having plan Bs and plan Cs. I would make plans that I think would make him happy, which I think is natural for a mom. We always want to make our kids happy and give them experiences, but we have to slow down and think, how much are we planning and at what expense? Would they be just as happy at home with us spending less time and less energy and less money at an event? Like maybe one playground a week instead of every day after school, or one bigger event like Dino Roar a month instead of every weekend. I actually was working from a coffee shop recently and overheard a mom say to her mom friend, my plan is to plan so many activities this summer so that my kids are so busy that they don't even ask for their tablets. So her goal was that it's less screen time. But to do that, she's planning so many activities so that her kids are so busy. Her voice literally raised an octave when she was saying this. And her friend responded in a way that was just like, oh, yeah. Like she was almost defeated by hearing this and exhausted. It was just this sense that we do so much and we go to such great lengths for our kids and at our own expense. Like, how exhausting does that sound as a mom? And I'm sure that she works, even if she doesn't work, being a mom is a full-time job. And we do all of these things, never checking in on ourselves, thinking that we have to do these things, thinking that this is a part of being a mom. The last example that I have is maybe managing your potential partner's stress, maybe about work or just something that is going on. So you might take on extra household tasks. That's what I felt like I used to do. Maybe you are the one that cooks all of the meals, even though you are so exhausted by the end of the day. Maybe you manage extended family dynamics. You take that on. Maybe during the holidays, it's especially, oh, it's like a holiday weekend right now. So during the holidays, you offer to take the cousins on or bake more side dishes or whatnot, even when you really would rather not. The pattern is that we are so busy managing everyone else's emotional temperature, their emotions and how they are and how they might be, that we never tune into our own. We don't even take a second to think, what do I want? How do I actually feel about this? And we don't realize how tired we are, how short we are with our kids, how disconnected we are from our partner, but also with ourselves. And also, we don't realize how we haven't done anything for our own personal joy until we are totally burnt out from all of our responsibilities that we think we have to do all of these things. And it's true burnout. It's not just exhaustion. It's like the next layer. Why this is because we've been taught that our worth depends on everyone else being okay, especially those closest to us. From childhood, women learn, especially women, that being good, quote unquote good, means keeping everybody happy. Maybe you were the one in your family that you had to be the good girl, the good one, so that your parents never flipped out, or you were one less reason that your parents freaked out that day. Or maybe you were the middle kid like me. Granted, I am a twin, but I'm the older twin by 1 minute. So I like to think of myself as the middle sister. But, anyways, I was always the one that was kind of caught in the middle between my twin and my older sister. And so I felt like I truly was the one to be the peacekeeper of the family, the peacekeeper between my friends. And so we just become these emotional thermostats, constantly adjusting ourselves to regulate everyone else's moods, their temperature, if you want to think of it that way. And I want to say too that this is not conscious. It's not like when we're kids, we're like, how is this person feeling? Let me adjust myself. No, this is a survival programming that tells us if they're upset, I'm not safe and I need to do something to keep myself safe. So, what that is I'm going to be funny, or I'm going to be quiet, or I'm going to perfect this. This is where self sabotage starts to come into effect and start to solidify in our brains. If we don't bring awareness to this is where you'll find yourself in patterns that try to mask it, like overeating, overworking, overexercising. And it's all to hide the overwhelm that you feel from managing others' emotions and perceived expectations. This is kind of feeling like a lot. I'm almost feeling like a lot of you need to hear this right now, but it's a lot to take on our own responsibilities in life and to pile on top of that everybody else's, or at least their experiences, and to put that responsibility on us. And then on top of that, our self sabotage fingerprint, which again is your unique way of sabotaging yourself that you picked up as a child, because everybody is different. Not everyone is the peacekeeper. You might be the perfectionist or the stickler or the restless. There's 10 different ones, but that exacerbates this unsafety, which forces you to continue this unhealthy habit or habits until you're completely burnt out and exhausted and have a mentee bee. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I worked that word into this episode. I love that term, mentee bee, mental breakdown, for those of you who have also just learned that term like me. It's such a silly word for like a really challenging time. Anyways, I'm going to go one level deeper here, but this is the sort of stuff that inspired me to get a divorce because it's so powerful and so important. By continuing to operate in this way, not only does it feel uncomfortable, we know this, but you are also teaching your kids that their emotions are your responsibility. And they're learning that love means that someone manages your feelings, not to work through their own feelings, or that others should manage their own feelings. I actually have an affirmation board. I've probably mentioned this, but that was a huge lesson that I worked through on my own after my divorce on the affirmation board. And it says, my emotions are separate from others. They are capable of having and managing their own, as am I. And I just repeated that until I believed it. And it's still up. So if I ever need the reminder, it's there for me. Another thing, summer is happening right now. Your kids will remember this summer. You get to choose the type of mom that they're going to remember as a part of it. Will it be the mom who was present and energized and participating in the water slide or filling up those water balloons? Or the one who was constantly stressed and planning and sitting in a lawn chair trying to catch a break with her high noon saying, go ask your dad, right? The one that's just trying to like breathe. And I'm not saying that there's never a time to breathe. I am all for taking time to yourself. I just want to highlight that your entire day shouldn't feel like you need to take time for yourself, and that so much of your energy is going to other people. How incredible would it feel if you could have energy for yourself, where thinking about you filling up water balloons and playing with your kids doesn't sound exhausting? It sounds like connection, and it sounds like something that you're excited to do. The last thing is that you've been doing this, meaning managing others' emotions, making decisions based on others, and exhausting yourself for likely years, maybe your whole lifetime. And your kids are how old? Maybe say it out loud. Think it. How old are they now? Not next summer, not when work calms down, but this exact age that they are. I just think of my son. He's 4.5 right now, and he keeps saying, he's like, I'm 4.5. He doesn't like when I say four. This summer is happening whether we are present for it or not. And how many more summers will you spend managing everyone else's emotions instead of enjoying your own life and being present for your summer, not just thinking of it as creating a summer for your kids? I don't believe in the saying you only have 18 summers with your kids. I believe that you have every day with your kids, which makes this even more impactful. How many more days consistently are you going to be checked out, burnt out, waiting for more energy to be present with them and just at work, enjoying what you do, enjoying your kids' little jokes and the things that they do, right? So that's why I'm here to help. And here's what I want you to try. For the next 24 hours only, before you jump in to fix or prepare for somebody's mood or even plan an activity, pause and ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Am I doing this for this person because I feel like I should, I'm afraid if I don't, or I genuinely want to? Just notice how often you're about to take on emotional labor that isn't yours. The Energized Summer Challenge that I mentioned earlier is about learning to choose what energizes you without constantly worrying about everyone else's reaction to your choices. Yes, we were taught that our worth depends on everyone else being okay, but what that also means is that when others aren't okay, we should feel guilty if we're not fixing it, and that it's our job to do it. That's why guilt runs so deep, especially in moms. That's why mom guilt is something that we have to work through. So, in my challenge, you'll learn exactly how to catch yourself mid emotional management and choose differently with daily permission slips. You'll learn to choose what energizes you without constantly worrying or feeling guilty about everyone's reaction to your choices. And instead of prioritizing yourself, being this vague concept that you know you should do. We're all told this, like prioritize yourself, bump yourself up on your to-do list. You'll know the exact micro choices that you can make in any given moment in under 30 seconds. By the end of July, when your kid has a meltdown, you will be able to stay calm and present instead of frantically trying to fix their feelings. When your partner comes home stressed, you'll offer support without absorbing their energy. Imagine how freeing and light that will feel. You'll wake up inspired by your own life instead of waiting for the next promotion or vacation to feel good. You'll realize that you don't need more time, more coffee, or even a break. Some of you are thinking, yes, I do. But what you actually need is to have more energy for the time that you do have. Through this challenge, your kids will witness a mom who chooses herself, and they'll learn that that's normal and healthy. They will see this energized version of you and get to enjoy her, not the depleted version of you. So, this is a 4-week challenge starting July 7th. You will get weekly voice memo coaching from me every Monday, one 90-minute group coaching call to process the heavy stuff and the overwhelm in your life right now, guest expert sessions on habits and nervous system regulation, a kickoff call with a guided visualization, private community with other women who are super uplifting and choosing themselves. And last but definitely not least, weekly engagement prizes that are participation focused, not perfection focused. A special bonus that I wanted to give you as my podcast family is a few extra days since I know so many of you listen while traveling and this is a holiday weekend. So I'm extending enrollment through Friday, July 4th as a special thank you for listening. And after that, you will have to wait until 2026 because this is the only energy challenge that I'm running this year. And lastly, when you secure your spot in the next 48 hours, you get immediate access to that private community even before we start on July 7th. This is where you will get access to chat with the other women and daily permission slip inspiration and connection with women who are just done waiting for someday to have the energy to participate in life versus crash on the couch at the end of the day. If you're listening and you're thinking, OMG, this is exactly what I need, but I just don't have time for another thing, especially this summer, that's exactly why you need this. This isn't about adding one more thing to your plate. It's not. It's about finally making choices that give you energy instead of drain it. Your to do list won't change within this challenge, but your to do list will feel lighter. I promise you, you will finally understand the difference between being busy and checking those things off your to do list and being energized throughout your day-to-day activities. So, if you are ready to stop managing everyone else's emotions and start choosing what energizes you without guilt or changing that to do list of yours, hop on in. I would love to have you in there. There are only 8 spots left out of 12 total. Like I said, there are already 4 amazing women inside the private community, and you will get access right away when you secure your spot in the next 48 hours. So, click the link in the show notes or go directly to www.samanthapenkoff.com/energized-summer. That's www.samanthapenkoff.com/energized-summer. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I love this topic because this topic about managing everybody else's emotions is so heavy and so meaningful. And when you focus on this one topic, it can be truly life-changing. It can turn everything around. So I hope that you got a lot from this episode. I hope to see you inside the challenge, and I will see you next week.